Highlighting the best of Cyprus and the inspiring commitment to art and culture, CULTURESCOPE shines a spotlight on the natural beauty and sheer diversity of the island, its previously hidden gems, and the people who continue to make a positive contribution to Cyprus, both locally and abroad. Hello, I'm Paul Lambis and welcome to the 7th episode of Season 2 of CULTURESCOPE, featured on Cyprus Mail's interactive web portal Good Living. Our location for this episode is the Ecclesiastical Museum of Pafos, which houses one of the most important collection of artifacts from the Byzantine period, including one of the oldest icons in Cyprus, dating back to the pre-iconoclastic period. Located near the central square of Yiorgos, the Ecclesiastical Museum of Pafos is home to a remarkable collection of icons and religious artifacts dating back to the 6th century. This opulent treasury reflects the artistic traditions and wealth of the Byzantine Empire through its impressive collection of sacred art, elaborate frescoes, ecclesiastical vessels, metallic objects, wood carvings, robes, manuscripts and books. Among the exhibits is this icon of Saint Marina, one of the oldest icons in Cyprus that dates back to the 7th century. The icon depicts the saint in the praying position, flanked by scenes of a martyrdom. Saint Marina is greatly revered in Cyprus, with 5 villages named after her and over 100 churches dedicated in her honor. Open all year round, the Ecclesiastical Museum of Pafos is a museum in its own right that offers beauty beyond personal beliefs. Pavlina Papalouka is a speaker, consultant and coach in personal development, business and personal branding, providing transformational learning experiences to her audiences across Cyprus and abroad. Pavlina, how did your earlier personal and career choices lead you to where you are now?
I started out by working in the media before social media was even a thing. So I was working as a public relations manager for 2 TV channels in Cyprus and Greece. And at the time, I realized how much power the media owners had. After 5 years in the media, I gained a lot of experience and I started my own public relations agency. YouTube was launched in 2005 and Facebook became open to the public in 2006. So when I went on social media and I saw what was there, I was like, wow. I think the power is going to move from the traditional media to the hands of the small business owners who can now start their own media channels online. I was super interested in social media, personal branding, online marketing. So when I went to the USA to attend these seminars and I discovered this whole self-education industry, focusing on transforming people's lives, I was like, this is what I want to do. I had this vision to bring this in Cyprus. Nobody was doing this in Cyprus. Nobody was working with big international speakers, doing these transformational seminars. So 2011, I organized my first seminar. It was a great success. After that, I continued every year doing seminars, bringing speakers, and all these people became my mentors. So 2015, I started doing my own video blogs, and then I put myself on stage, and since then I'm a speaker and coach. That was a time when people started asking me to mentor them and asking me to speak from stage. And I was like, okay, it seems that I'm ready.
It's often said that one should find their passion in life and pursue it as a career or side project. Was this the case with Pavlina?
It seems that people want to learn something from me, and I focused on everything people were asking me. It's like, how did you find your purpose? How do you do all this branding so well, your personal branding? How do you promote your business on social media? How do you set goals and achieve them? The questions that I was getting from people who were coming to my seminars to see other speakers became my content. So that's how I started. It was all about following this vision, following this purpose, and you see that sometimes the universe creates some amazing synchronicities, especially with some of the speakers I work with. It was close to impossible to bring them to Cyprus if I would consider the costs, but things happened, made it possible. They became my mentors, and I am where I am today.
We all encounter challenges in life. How does one overcome these challenges and find the self-motivation to succeed?
I was always passionate, and I made a lot of mistakes because people confuse passion with having a purpose and having a plan. I was always just going for my dreams, so I fell down many times and I made many mistakes. And I learned a lot through that process, and I learned that, yes, follow your passion, but don't fall without a parachute, and find the purpose. Why are you doing what you're doing? Everyone has something they're passionate about. Everyone has a unique purpose and a unique set of skills. And most people follow what society tells them to do, what their parents tell them to do, and they end up with something that looks like a successful career or a successful job or a family, and they don't feel fulfilled. You don't have to learn the hard way. You can get mentors, you can get help, and find people who have been where you want to go and get them to guide you. Every day, look at and write down what you're grateful for. Focus on what's working in your life. It could be, oh, the sun came out today and I live in Cyprus and we have sunshine every day, right? And I love this. And oh, I went for a swim in the sea. I'm so lucky, right? So focus on what you're grateful for every day, and gratitude is the biggest medicine for every psychological disorder or anything we're going through, because what we focus on expands. So when we focus on what's going wrong, we vibrate on that frequency, and then we create more of that. When we focus on what's going well, we shift our frequency and we start attracting more good things.
How important is one's personal brand, and are there any tips to defining one's online brand presence?
First, let's go into what is personal branding. It's essentially your reputation. And in the old times, your reputation used to be word of mouth, or in the traditional media, in newspapers, in magazines, in books, on TV later on, radio. Now your reputation is online. Literally within seconds, somebody can Google you, and whatever comes on Google or on social media represents your personal brand. It's important, if you're a business owner or if you want to advance in your career, to have a clear personal brand presence, because people are going to Google you. They are. We do this naturally. So what are the steps that I would advise somebody to take to clarify and build that personal brand and build that online presence? Number one is to get clear what is that unique value that you bring to the world through your personal brand as a person and a professional, and have this clear brand message that with a sentence or within 30 seconds of talking to somebody, they can understand exactly what value you bring to the world through your work and who you are helping. And then number two, you need to have this consistent brand image across your social media. And number three is the most important after you've gained the clarity of how I'm helping people and this is my presence, is content. Content that adds value to people's lives, especially to that ideal avatar, ideal person that you're speaking to, is what will build your brand faster. And we know today there are some people called influencers. What they do is they create content. And I think every entrepreneur, every business owner can be an influencer today for their own niche. You don't need to go to other influencers and pay them. You can be the influencer if you create that content. And the number one form of content is what we're doing now. It's video, especially long form video.
What is the golden rule of networking?
The golden rule of networking that most people don't understand at its core is always be a giver. Always give without expecting. Don't be transactional in your interactions. A lot of people pretend to be givers and they will give, but they expect something back, and they usually expect a lot more than what they give. They're like that. They're there just to take, right? And it shows eventually. If people don't see in the beginning, it's an energy exchange. People are more likely to reciprocate. When they realize that you're a giver and you have given something to them, they feel very inclined to reciprocate. And actually we do this in branding as well. When we give content and people say content is free, why should I do free content? Help people, show them how you can help them, and then people will actually be more inclined to buy from you because you have already helped them. So that's the golden rule of networking, be a giver. Whatever you want to change in the world, however you would like the world to be, you ask yourself, am I this kind of person myself? And then you go work on yourself, and it's amazing what happens when you change yourself and you see that people around you start to change just because you change yourself. So a lot of people try to change others, but actually we should start from changing ourselves, and that's how we change the world.
Economou is a Cyprus-born singer-songwriter with a string of accolades under his belt. Having performed and recorded with some of the biggest names in the Greek music industry, Alex is now carving his path as an independent music artist.
Dance with me. Come on, put your arms and make a round with me. Let go all the troubles and hold on to me. Dance with me, I'll never let you down.
Alex, from Pafos to Boston and Los Angeles to Athens, your music has reached top of the Greek charts. Let us start how you got into music and your journey that has led you to be signed by a few of the largest record labels in Greece.
I started doing music from a very, very, very young age. I wanted to do music for my whole life. I went to Berkeley, I went to Boston. That's when everything actually started. I remember the first week they do a showcase that they show you everything, all the singers, all the guitarists, so they do shows and stuff. And you realize that, wow, am I taking part in this? Am I gonna be competing these people? Either you quit and you just stay back, or you say, I'm gonna fight this and I'm gonna become one of them. So that's what I said. I'm happy I did.
How would you describe the music that you typically create?
Jazz was the most inspiring thing. That's why all my songs and all my covers that I do have some jazz influences in them. They're not straight pop or straight rock or whatever. I try to differ from everything. I try to be my own thing. Of course I like being influenced by people. I like taking good things from people. But I'm creating my own path.
Άσε μη στην πόρτα σου, άσε μη μου, το άσε μη.
I did a bossa nova style on the Yasemi. Some people wrote that it was the best version of Yasemi that they ever heard. The traditional song, of course, it's perfect the way it is. I like how people reacted to it and how people liked it.
Τσίρτα να το κλαδέψω, όχι αυρί μου.
For me, there are different seasons in my life, different periods in my life. There are periods that I'm not inspired at all and I cannot write a word. And there are other periods of life that I write every second. I'm sticking on my own perspective and my own path, as I said before, and I want to make music the way I want it because that's how I am inspired, and that's how I believe I will inspire someone else. If I'm doing something very commercial just to make money or just to hear it on the radio, I don't know if it's gonna be inspiring enough. And music is only there to inspire people, not, I mean, if money comes into it, it all changes.
What are you currently working on?
I really want to do an album now, because all I did so far were singles. And now I want to do a more complete work. I want to do a full album that has a story to tell, and has, maybe video clips that say the story. And I feel like it's a reintroduction of myself to the people.
Sometimes you wake up in your sleep, sometimes you desperately need, sometimes you can't say what you think, at times you have trouble to breathe, sometimes the clock is ticking fast, how long is this dream gonna last? Those times are hidden in the past, those times are hidden in the past.
All my life I've been saying that nothing good goes to waste. Not just for me, for all the people that are creating music, are creating art in any way. I want to be one of those people that have inspired at least one person out there with their music, with the way they talk, with the way they present themselves. I want to be one of the good guys. I wish people that have the power to change things could pay more attention on what's good in terms of quality, and not what's good in terms of somebody that is posting something that has 1 million likes and he is very popular to people. I mean, it's okay to be popular, of course, and I understand why this is interesting for people with power. It would be nicer if we went back to the old days where only good music was out there, only good art was out there. All the good musicians have had the power to say things and to get their music out and be heard.
Those times are hidden in the past. Sometimes you hurt, sometimes you hide, sometimes you lie, sometimes you cry, sometimes you throw yourself away.
The village of Polemi appears to be idyllic and peaceful, but it was also home to a gruesome concentration camp, notorious for the horrific and inhumane conditions suffered by some 400 Greek Cypriot detainees. The history of Cyprus is one of invasion and occupation by foreign powers because of its strategic position in the East Mediterranean. Cyprus had been controlled by Great Britain since 1878, and efforts to achieve independence were suppressed in the early 1930s. In the 1950s, however, the National Organization of Cypriot Fighters, known as EOKA, launched a campaign against the British rulers for Enosis, ultimately leading to Cyprus's independence in 1960. Highly classified documents disclosed by the National Archives in 2012 provide ample evidence of the brutal treatment of EOKA prisoners by British soldiers, especially at the many concentration camps established across the island. A reminder of the brutal effects of colonialism, the Polemi concentration camp was one of 8 operated by the British to house and interrogate EOKA prisoners during the Greek Cypriot fight for struggle to end British rule in Cyprus between 1955 and 1959. The Polemi concentration camp or detention center opened towards the end of the conflict in August 1958 and operated for just over 100 days. Surrounded by barbed wire, Polemi's prison camp was known for its violence, cruelty and torture to which the prisoners were subjected. Inside, an uncanny silence migrates between the rural present and Cyprus's turbulent past. A memorial wall features a display of registration photographs as prisoners were marched in front of a camera and forced to stand as they were processed into the camp and given a number. The camp at Polemi was mainly populated by Greek Cypriot males, although occasionally women were also interned, including youths and minors under the age of 16. Often held without trial, prisoners were compelled to live in tents and permitted to move around the small yard for limited hours during the day. At night, members of the British Army would often enter the tents and mercilessly beat up prisoners, keeping them awake by firing shots and throwing stones. In 2004, the site was converted into a war museum, serving as a reminder of the horrors perpetrated under British rule and acting as a vehicle of historical exposition, educating subsequent generations about the lessons of the past. From breaking news and in-depth reporting to television presenting and acting, Andri Hadjichristodoulou is a woman of many talents who continues to strive for perfection with everything that she does. Andri, from International Relations and European Studies at the Drama School of the National Theatre of Greece to International Law, from entertainment to journalism, how do you find the balance between everything?
Η αλήθεια είναι ότι δεν μπορώ να έχω ισορροπία στη ζωή μου αν δεν κάνω όλα όσα λαχταράει η ψυχή μου. Νιώθω ότι είναι ένα κάλεσμα για μένα όλα αυτά. Κάθε τι που κάνω με βοηθά στο να ανακαλύψω ένα κομμάτι δικό μου, ένα κομμάτι από την ψυχή μου. Με κάνει να γίνομαι καλύτερη, να εξελίσσομαι, να ανακαλύπτω πράγματα. Νιώθω ότι πρέπει να το κάνω. Νιώθω ότι είναι ο δρόμος μου που πάει προς τα εκεί και εγώ καλούμαι να το φέρω όσο καλύτερα γίνεται εις πέρας. Νιώθω ότι κάτω από πίεση λειτουργώ καλύτερα. Αν και δεν νιώθω όλα αυτά που κάνω ότι είναι πίεση. Νιώθω ότι είναι κάτι που πραγματικά γεμίζει πολύ όμορφα τη ζωή μου, που την ολοκληρώνει.
What inspired you to pursue a career as an actor?
Γεννήθηκα στην Πάφο. 18 χρονών έφυγα για σπουδές, πάνε 2 διεθνείς και ευρωπαϊκές σπουδές. Έζησα εκεί αρκετά χρόνια. Θα έμενα εκεί, γιατί μου είχε προκύψει έτσι μια πολύ όμορφη πρόταση για μια πολυεθνική. Τελικά όμως επέστρεψα, γιατί μέσα μου ένιωθα ότι ήθελα να γίνω ηθοποιός. Ήρθα Κύπρο, εργαζόμουν και ξαφνικά μου λέει μια φίλη μου, ξέρεις, μπορείς να δώσεις από Κύπρο για το εθνικό. Για καλή μου τύχη, ήταν μία μέρα πριν τελειώσουν οι δηλώσεις. Η ίδια πήγε μου έκανε τη δήλωση, με βοήθησε στο να προετοιμαστώ, μου έφερε κείμενα και τα σχετικά. Έρχονται οι εξετάσεις, πάω, δίνω, περνάω. Πέρασα πρώτη Παγκύπρια, εργάστηκα στην Αθήνα ως ηθοποιός, ταυτόχρονα δούλευα και στη Διεθνή Αμνηστία. Γιατί από παιδί είχα την ανάγκη να νιώσω ότι είμαι χρήσιμη, ότι μπορώ να βοηθήσω. Έρχονται έτσι τα πράγματα που πρέπει να επιστρέψω Κύπρο. Ξεκίνησε ένα καινούριο κεφάλαιο στη ζωή μου. Άλλαξε η ζωή μου από τη γη μέχρι τον ουρανό. Αλλά ξέρεις, νιώθω καμιά φορά ότι εμείς οι ίδιοι είναι που δημιουργούμε και τις καταστάσεις στο πώς βλέπουμε τα πράγματα γύρω μας. Δηλαδή, ωραία, η Κύπρος είναι αυτή που είναι. Οι άνθρωποι της Κύπρου είναι αυτοί που είναι. Εσύ πώς μπορείς να πάρεις όλα αυτά τα ερεθίσματα και να τα κάνεις δύναμη για σένα? Νιώθω ότι έπρεπε να έρθω Κύπρο. Ήταν ένα κάλεσμα που έπρεπε να γίνει. Έπρεπε να έρθω πίσω στις ρίζες μου, στον τόπο μου, για να μπορέσω να βρω τον εαυτό μου, να με αποδεχτώ για αυτό που είμαι. Για την Andri που γεννήθηκε στην Πάφο, που μεγάλωσε όπως μεγάλωσε. Ξέρεις, είναι δύσκολο κάποιες φορές να αποδεχτούμε τον εαυτό μας, όταν γύρω μας συμβαίνουν διάφορα. Όταν καταφέρουμε να φύγουμε από τη βαβούρα που έχουμε μες στα αυτιά μας, που τη ζωή που τρέχει συνέχεια και να μείνουμε εντελώς μόνοι μας, εκεί βρίσκουμε το ποιοι είμαστε, το τι θέλουμε να είμαστε και το ποιοι θέλουμε να γίνουμε. Βοήθησε με πάρα πολλά να το κάνω το ότι ήρθα Κύπρο. Το ότι έμεινα μόνη μου, κυριολεκτικά έμεινα μόνη μου, και ότι έπρεπε να βρω τα πόδια μου από το μηδέν. Νιώθω ότι θέλω να επέμβω, ειδικά όταν βλέπω να γίνεται αδικία σε κάποιον άλλον. Τώρα, όσον αφορά το δελτίο ειδήσεων, είμαι υποχρεωμένη να είμαι το κανάλι μέσα από το οποίο θα περνά είδηση. Γιατί σέβομαι ότι ο καθένας οφείλει να έχει τη δική του άποψη και να το εκλάβει όπως θέλει. Δεν θέλω να επηρεάσω, αλλά αργότερα, όταν θα υπάρχει ένα στούντιο στο οποίο πρέπει να συζητήσω κάποια θέματα για τα δικαιώματά μας, για ανθρώπους που μπορεί να έχουν πληγεί από κάποια πράγματα. Εκεί νομίζω ότι μπορείς να εκφράσεις την άποψή σου. Εκεί νομίζω και νιώθω, τουλάχιστον εγώ, εμπλέκομαι συναισθηματικά. Έχει πάρα πολλά ταλέντα η Κύπρος. Και σκηνοθέτες και ηθοποιούς και σε όλους τους τομείς. Ό,τι αφορά το φάσμα του πολιτισμού, νομίζω ότι έχει ταλέντα. Νιώθω όμως ότι πολλές φορές δουλειές μας γίνονται με τον λάθος τρόπο. Ίσως να μας λείπουν κάποιες γνώσεις για να μπορέσουμε να βγάλουμε το καλύτερο που έχουμε. Έχουν διευρυνθεί οι ορίζοντες, έχουν ανοίξει οι δρόμοι, έχουμε σκηνοθέτες σαν εσένα. Ξέρεις, πίσω από κάθε καλλιτέχνη, εγώ βλέπω την ψυχή. Γιατί είναι η ψυχή που σε οθεί στο να κάνεις κάτι. Οπότε όταν η ψυχή είναι γεμάτη με τον πόθον τούτον του να δώσει, δεν μπορεί να μην πάει καλά. Πραγματικά, όπου υπάρχει πάθος, θα πάει καλά. Δεν γίνεται να μην πάει καλά. Οπότε ναι, πιστεύω ότι έχουμε τρομερή εξέλιξη που πρόκειται να έρθει στην Κύπρο. Το θέατρο είναι πάρα πολλά διαφορετικό από τον κινηματογράφο. Είχα την τύχη να κάνω και τα δύο. Στον κινηματογράφο νιώθω πιο πολύ άνεση. Νιώθω ότι μπορώ να αυτοσχεδιάσω, να δώσω λίγο παραπάνω από εμένα πιο εύκολα. Στο θέατρο νιώθω ότι ο χρόνος πλατιάζει. Πρέπει να κάνεις τις πρόβες σου, ναι, είναι πολλά όμορφη διαδικασία, αλλά είναι κάτι πολλά πιο διαφορετικό. Έχω πάρει μερικές αποφάσεις στη ζωή μου που είπα ότι θα τις κρατήσω για να με συνοδεύουν μια ζωή. Δεν θα παριστάνω κάτι άλλο από τούτο που είμαι. Θα συγχωρώ τα πάντα για να μην βαραίνουν τη δική μου τη ψυχή και να είμαι πάντα ελεύθερη στο να μπορώ να δημιουργώ. Και θα πιστεύω όσο πιο πολύ γίνεται σε τον που εγώ πιστεύω. Εγώ πιστεύω στο Θεό. Καθένας μπορεί να πιστεύει σε οτιδήποτε άλλο θέλει. Εμένα τούτο μου δίνει δύναμη.
What is next on the cards for Andri Hadjichristodoulou?
Θα ξεκινήσω με αυτό που ανυπομονώ εδώ και καιρό να γίνει, την ταινία σου. Αφού σου έχω πει, έχω έρωτα με το σινεμά. Ανυπομονώ να ξεκινήσουμε. Είναι ένα θέμα που πραγματικά εμένα με αγγίζει πάρα πολύ, ειδικά με τα τελευταία γεγονότα στα Βαρόσια, με την Αμόχωστο, με όλα όσα βλέπουμε να συμβαίνουν. Νιώθω ότι σαν χώρα έχουμε να αποπροσανατολιστεί, βλέπουμε αλλού, ενώ αλλού πρέπει να βλέπουμε. Τώρα είναι που πρέπει να μάθουν τα νέα παιδιά τι συμβαίνει, ποιο δεξεχνό. Δεν ξέρουν καν τι είναι αυτό το δεξεχνό. Τώρα είναι η στιγμή που καλούμαστε να μοιραστούμε με τα νέα παιδιά, να μάθουν τι σημαίνει πατρίδα.
Founder of the countryside Animafest Cyprus, Yiorgos Tsangaris' passion for animation has attracted the international community to our shores, putting Cyprus firmly on the global animation map. Yiorgos, for over 2 decades, Animafest has brought together the best and the brightest animation artists in the island's villages. How did your passion for animation inspire you to establish and become the artistic director of one of the region's most significant celebrations of all things animated?
Το φεστιβάλ ξεκίνησε σε ένα πολλά μικρό χωριό στην επαρχία της Λεμεσού, στα Πλατανίστια, που είχε περίπου 30 κατοίκους. Σε τούτο χωριό ζει ο πατέρας μου, ο Χαμπής, ο οποίος ξεκίνησε τη σχολή χαρακτικής δωρεάν στη μνήμη του δασκάλου του, του Αλφατάσου, για να προβάλλει την τέχνη της χαρακτικής, να τιμήσει τον δάσκαλό του, αλλά κυρίως να πάρει την τέχνη στον πολύτον κόσμο. Εγώ βέβαια επηρεάστηκα από το περιβάλλον τούτο και ξεκίνησα μαζί με τον Δημήτρη Νεϊπίδη, τον διευθυντή του Φεστιβάλ Κινηματογράφου της Θεσσαλονίκης, ένα πολλά σπουδαίο άνθρωπο του σινεμά, και τον Γιάνγκο Χατζηγιάννη, που σήμερα είναι ο καλλιτεχνικός διευθυντής του Φεστιβάλ Ντοκιμαντέρ Λεμεσού. Ξεκινήσαμε το 2002 ένα μικρό φεστιβάλ που το ονομάσαμε το Μικρό Φεστιβάλ Ντοκιμαντέρ Πλατανίστια 2002. Στα επόμενα χρόνια, εγώ εγνωρίστηκα με την τέχνη του animation. Όταν πήγα για μια εκπαίδευση το 2006 στο Bristol School of Animation, είχα ένα σπουδαίο δάσκαλο, τον Άρικ Τζόνσον, που μου έμαθε τα πρώτα πράγματα στο animation. Μαζί του εγνώρισα ένα σπουδαίο άλλο φίλο μου, σπουδαίο σκηνοθέτη, τον Τζόναθαν Γιάπερ Όστος, Μεξικανό, ο οποίος επίσης εμίησε με στα μυστικά του της τέχνης. Σκέφτηκα, εμείς στην Κύπρο δεν τα ξέρουμε τούτα. Δεν είχαμε ποτέ μας επαφή με το ανεξάρτητο σινεμά, το πειραματικό σινεμά, το καλλιτεχνικό σινεμά animation. Εγνωρίζαμε καλά τη Walt Disney, εγνωρίζαμε καλά τη Pixar ή την DreamWorks, αλλά πολλά λίγα ξέραμε για το ανεξάρτητο καλλιτεχνικό σινεμά animation.
the general knowledge of like animation beyond just cartoons is expanding. So a lot of companies and filmmakers, like with documentary, it's a good way to express things that can't be filmed and things like that. I definitely think that the industry is expanding to include many different types of animation.
Ήθελα να προβάλλω την τέχνη. Έτσι μετονομάστηκε το φεστιβάλ σε φεστιβάλ ντοκιμαντέρ και animation όψης του κόσμου. Και αργότερα μόνο Animafest σε συντομία. Ο στόχος ήταν να προβληθεί τούτη τέχνη, το ανεξάρτητο σινεμά.
How does the festival create opportunities for training and the development of new productions?
Δεν είναι πλέον άγνωστη τούτη πτυχή του σινεμά στην Κύπρο. Έχει γίνει γνωστό. Και στην Κύπρο, επειδή ο κόσμος ξεκίνησε να καλλιεργείται με τούτον το είδος σινεμά, το animation, το ανεξάρτητο, το καλλιτεχνικό, που φέρει πολιτικά και κοινωνικά μηνύματα κυρίως, και ποίηση μέσα από την ερμηνεία των καλλιτεχνών του, έχει αντιληφθεί ο κόσμος ότι τούτο είναι το animation. Και δεν είναι μόνο η Walt Disney. Νιώθω ότι πετύχαμε το τούτο. Πετύχαμε να περάσει στη συλλογική συνείδηση του κόσμου ότι τούτη τέχνη είναι και τούτη που προβάλλουμε, η ανεξάρτητη.
Some of the concepts that in my personal work that I want to communicate are a little bit intangible. They're hard to talk about. They're hard to like pinpoint and sound, unless you're really educated on the topic. You don't know exactly how to express it, maybe with words, or I don't. So it's easier for me to kind of think of it more as a feeling or like an experience and then portray it through narrative or metaphorical narrative, I guess. I don't have a lot of dialogue in my films.
Ξεκίνησα το 11 να προσκαλώ τους ξένους καλλιτέχνες και λέω τους κάνουμε ένα μικρό φεστιβάλ στην Κύπρο, ονομάζεται Countryside Animafest Cyprus και λέω μου is it really happening in the countryside? Και λέω τους ναι. Και έτσι ήρθαν την πρώτη χρονιά 5 σπουδαίοι ξένοι δημιουργοί που είχα την τύχη να τους γνωρίσω τυχαία. Όταν ήρθα στην Κύπρο στην έκδοση την 10η του φεστιβάλ, ήταν στο Πραστιόν Αυδήμου τότε το φεστιβάλ, είχαν εντυπωσιαστεί τόσο πολλά από το λαϊκό κίνημα τέλος πάντων που συνέβαινε, από τον κόσμο τον πολύ. Σε καμιά γωνιά του πλανήτη δεν γίνεται το πράγμα. Πούποτε στον κόσμο δεν πάει σε με ένα μικρό χωριό που να μαζευτούν όλη τη χώρα άνθρωποι κάθε λοής, δηλαδή που μαθητές, φοιτητές, βοσκοί, αγρότες, ακαδημαϊκοί, καλλιτέχνες, όλο το κοινωνικό φάσμα. Να συναντιέται μέσα σε έναν πουθενά, σε έναν τόπο στην Ήπεθρο, και να παρακολουθά δύσκολες ταινίες, πειραματικές, σινεμά που τις παρακολουθείς στις ξένες χώρες βρίσκεις στις αίθουσες που έχουν 50-60 άτομα να παρακολουθούν τέτοιες ταινίες. Εντυπωσιαστήκαν λοιπόν τόσο πολλά, συγκινηθήκαν που το ρεύμα, που το κόσμο, και είχα μου πει, θυμούμαι, που τα τώρα και να πάει, ό,τι θέλεις το έχεις από εμάς.
Animafest has actually put Cyprus on the map in terms of how animators see, the world. Because all my friends who are independent animators know about Animafest Cyprus. It's, and they submit to it, and it's a known festival.
Εγώ παράλληλα μιλούσα για την Κύπρο, μιλούσα όχι μόνο για το φεστιβάλ, μιλούσα για τις ομορφιές της Κύπρου, για τον κόσμο της Κύπρου, για την αγάπη μας για την Κύπρο, για το πόσο θέλαμε να αναπτύξουμε τον πολιτισμό στην Κύπρο. Το πιο συγκινητικό, και λέω το πολλές φορές τούτο, είναι ότι τα φεστιβάλ που βλέπουμε τις μέρες μας στην Κύπρο, κυρίως τα καλοκαίρια στην Ήπεθρο, που ξεκινήσαν, πρώτον ήταν το Animafest και μετά συνεχίσαν και έγιναν τούτα που βλέπουμε σήμερα, έγιναν που τον ίδιο τον κόσμο της Κύπρου. Δεν ήρθε έναν κράτος και να πει «Δούμε σας λεφτά, κάνετε ένα φεστιβάλ». Επειδή αγαπούσαν τον τόπο τους, ξεκινήσαν, έκαναν ένα φεστιβάλ μουσικών, έκαναν ένα φεστιβάλ, διαφόρων λόγιων φεστιβάλ, αλλά έκαναν τα ίδια για την Κύπρο και μετά ήρθε το κράτος και επικορήγησε τα. Και είπε «Τι ωραία πράγματα κάνετε, να σας στηρίξουμε». Όμως γεννήθηκε μέσα από τον κόσμο. Πήγαμε σε διάφορα χωριά της Κύπρου. Η Σαλαμιού όμως είναι πολλά ιδιαίτερη. Αγαπήσαμε την πολλά της Σαλαμιού. Είναι πολλά ξεχωριστός ο κόσμος της Σαλαμιού. Έχουν μια πολλά βαθιά σχέση με τον πολιτισμό και κατανοούν τις αξίες του πολιτισμού και ξέρουν γιατί το κάνουμε το φεστιβάλ.
The fact that it's sort of in this small village internationally doesn't really hinder it at all. It's interesting because I found out about Animafest through Facebook. A animation curator that I know who runs a festival in Berkeley, California, posted about Animafest Cyprus on her Facebook, and I was like, there's an animation festival in Cyprus? I had no idea. So in a way, it reached me through, you know, an international sort of avenue.
Δεν θα πάμε σε άλλο χορκό πουθενά. Και άμα τελειώσει στη Σαλαμιού, είναι να τελειώσει. Μετά από τέτοιον έρωτα, μετά από τέτοιον αγάπη, μετά από τόσες συγκινητικές στιγμές που ζήσαμε, κάθε χρόνο κλαίουμε που φεύγουμε, που τελειώνει το φεστιβάλ. Και λαλώ το με πολύ συγκίνηση, και είναι προσωπικό μόνο. Λαϊκό σχεδόν, δηλαδή ο κόσμος όλος μαζί μας, πολύ αγάπη, ενέργεια, σπουδαία, απίστευτο. Το πιστεύω είναι η τέχνη στον λαό, η τέχνη στον πολύτον κόσμο. Γιατί μόνο έτσι μπορούν να καλλιεργηθούν οι κοινωνίες. Και μακάρι να υπάρξουν και οι πολιτικές συγκυρίες που να βοηθήσουν να δημιουργηθούν συνθήκες ανάπτυξης των τεχνών για να μπορέσουν να πάνε στον πολύτον κόσμο, γιατί μόνο έτσι μπορεί να γίνει καλύτερη κοινωνία. Να γίνουν πιο ευαίσθητοι άνθρωποι, να μπορέσουν να κατανοήσουν τις αξίες της τέχνης, την αναγκαιότητα του ανθρώπου να περιβάλλεται από τέχνη, που λογοτεχνία, που ποίηση, που μουσική, που ζωγραφική, που οτιδήποτε εκφράζεται, ερμηνεύει τον κόσμο που ήρθαμε να ζήσουμε. Αλλά μόνο να αναπευθυνθούμε προς τον πολύτον κόσμο είναι να πετύχουμε να κάνουμε το πράγμα. Διαφορετικά, αν κάνουμε τέχνη μόνο για τους 5-10 από γύρω μας άλλους καλλιτέχνες, να παραμείνει μόνο μέσα σε κάποιους μικρούς κύκλους. Όταν τούτον είναι η τέχνη στον πολύτον κόσμο. Να πάει η τέχνη στον πολύτον κόσμο.
Lebanese Greek journalist and documentary filmmaker George Aid has made a powerful and emotionally charged documentary about the 2020 Beirut port explosion and the permanent damage to the city's Greek community and its historical sites.
Part of my personal story, my personal life. I mean, my grandparents came to Lebanon as refugees. I've lived with the Greek community for a while, and I've grown up in a milieu where the Greek community is abundant, where the Greek language is there, and we had this beautiful Greek club that was just by the port where the explosion happened. And it used to be my Kyriakiskolio, or the Sunday school for the Greek language. So this part of the region is where the Greeks live, where my grandparents live, where my father used to work. And I found myself on the 4th of August with a camera down there in a devastated capital. It was the third biggest explosion in the world as per international sources. So imagine your hometown, your life, that exploded totally. There was nothing left. And the first place I went to when I arrived to the explosion scene, 10 minutes after the explosion, was the building of the Greek club, where I saw a person going out almost disfigured. My reaction was I wanted to record what was left of our community. It was the last place standing for the old generation, this club. So I said to myself, okay, we've talked about the Lebanese, but there is a smaller community which was devastated by this explosion. It's the Greek community. So this is why I wanted to do the gathering of all the info fast. It's mostly like other Greek communities around the globe, with a small difference that they're closer to Greece in proximity. Many of them have relatives living in Greece. Many of them visit Greece regularly. Some of them, unfortunately, and this is a case I still carry until now, are Greeks. They talk Greek, their family name is Greek, everything about them is Greek, even their old traditions, but they don't have the epikotita or the citizenship yet. So they were not recognized by the Greek state. And this is something that gives me a lot, even myself, I'm still not recognized. So it gives me a lot of pain to think that today Greece and other countries in the European Union are doing great efforts with refugees, gathering them in, helping them stand on their own. But I say, start by your own. I mean, Greece should really look for the people that were left out after the Ottomans tried to, let's say, delete them from existence. So these people are the remnants of what was once a very prosperous Greek community in Minor Asia. And this is the secret of the Greeks in Lebanon. They still carry a lot of the ancient language, the ancient cuisine. They were frozen in time as they left Minor Asia and some parts of Greece. When I did the movie, 5 days after the explosion, you could even hear in the few first minutes when I was interviewing someone in the Greek club, the sound of sirens, ambulances going by. They were still searching for corpses on the portal. So it was that fresh at the time. This place we used to gather every Saturday at. The guy who is dancing is a friend. We used to sit at the same table, have ouzo together, dance, smash plates. For me, the first thing that I thought about is, okay, I'm never going to get the chance to dance at this club again. It was a meeting point for the old generation, the mid generation, and us, the young people at the time. For me, it was the end of a very long era. So I said to myself, will I ever get the chance to have a last dance in that place? So that was the first inspiration. Let's go and have this last dance. Why Zeibekiko? Zeibekiko is the song of pain, of sorrow. Currently, it is in a festival in November. It is in a festival in Cyprus, the Golden Aphrodite Festival. In Greece, it has already circulated in 4 festivals. Turkey has taken it for a festival in Trabzon. So that was something out of the expectations. So it's showing there as well. The global identity of Greece is not limited to where Greece is. It's not between Italy and Turkey. It was never actually like that. And there was a time where Greece was all over the world. It reached Afghanistan and up till it was everywhere. So, and it left traces everywhere, even in the languages, the dialects, the cooking, everything. So I tried to take this positive things that Greece and the Greek culture left to build bridges between countries. And I think I'm going to work on something in Dubai soon about Greece. I'm still brainstorming on what can be done because we have a great community as well here.
Stay connected and follow us on social media. If you want to be featured on CULTURESCOPE, contact our production team by visiting the website below. Until next time, stay safe and let culture transform your life.